In this video is the other review for section 2A, dealing with understand, solve, and explain. And here we're going to be dealing with decimal fractions here. Here we're going to be converting to a common form and also converting to a decimal form. All right, for a fraction in decimal form, each digit corresponds to a certain place value, which is always a power of 10. Such as 10, 100, 1,000, and so on. The following example shows values for the decimal place, for the decimal places in the number 3.141. And notice the first number in front of the decimal point is a 3, that's the ones place. And the first digit after the decimal point is a 1, that's in the tens place. The next place value will be hundreds, and then the next one will be thousands. So if we were to read this correctly, it will be 3 and 141 thousandths. Okay. Now let's look at how to convert from a decimal to common form. Converting a fraction from decimal to common form requires recognizing the value of the last digit in the decimal. For example, like in 0.4. The last digit is a 4. The place value for that is that first place value after the decimal point, which is the tens place. So it'll be 4 over 10. And then 3.15, the last digit is the second number after the decimal point. That's the hundreds place, tens and then hundreds. So it'll be 315 divided by 100. And 0.097, well, the last digit is a 7. It's the third digit after the decimal point, so that represents the thousandths place. So that's why you see 1,000 in the denominator and then 97 in the numerator. So 0.097 as a fraction would be 97 over 1,000. All right, now the other part is converting to decimal form. So here, to convert a common fraction into decimal form, we carry out the division implied by the fraction. Like, for example, if you got 1/4, we can do 1 divided by 4. And also you can do this in the calculator. If you do 1 divided by 4, you can get 0.25. Okay, so I'll show you. In this case, if you take 1 divided by 4, you enter or equal, you'll get 0.25 as a decimal value. And many common fractions cannot be written exactly in decimal form. For example, the decimal form of 1/3 contains an endless string of 3s. So if I was to do 1 divided by 3 on this calculator, you'll see the endless 3s, but it does repeat. Yeah. So in mathematics, we often represent such a pattern with a bar on top. For example, the bar over the 3 in 0.3 with the bar on top means that the 3 repeats indefinitely. And in real life, we usually round repeated decimals. So 1/3 can often be rounded as 0.33 if you were to round it to 2 decimal places in this situation. All right, let's look at some examples here. We're going to start by writing the fraction in lowest terms, like in 0.44. Well, we see a 44. But look at the last digit here is a 4. The place value of that last digit is the hundreds place. Because here, that's tens and then hundreds. So the denominator will have to be 100. So it'll be 44 over 100. But in simplest form or in lowest terms, we need to simplify that by dividing the numerator and the denominator by the largest number that can go into both the numerator and the denominator. It'll have to be 4. So 4 goes into 44 11 times, and 4 goes into 125 times. So 0.44 as a fraction in lowest terms will be 11/25. All right, In number 2, we got A through H. We're going to write each of these as a common fraction. So, okay. Starting with part A, 1.775, 1.75. Well, I know the numerator will have a 1 and a 7 and a 5, but the digit behind that decimal point, the last digit is a 5. The place value that is in the hundredths place. So the denominator will have to be 100. So it'll be 175 over 100. But we need the largest number that would go into 175 and 100. In this case, it'll have to be 25. So I'm going to divide the numerator and the denominator by 25. Here, 25 goes into 175 7 times. 100 divided by 25 would be 4. So 1.75 as a simplified fraction will be 7/4. Part B, 0.85 or 85 hundredths. Well, the 85 will have to go in the numerator. The 5 is the last digit in that number, and it's the second number after the decimal point. So the place value for that is the hundredths place. So that's over 100. And in simplest form, we need to divide the numerator and the denominator by 5, because I know 85 and 100 are multiples of 5. 5 goes into 85 17 times. 5 goes into 100 20 times. So it'll be 17 over 20 for 0.85 as a simplified fraction. Part C, 0.004. 0.004. Well, the only non-zero number that we see is the 4, so that goes in the numerator. That 4 is the third digit after the decimal point. Here you got tenths, hundredths, and then thousands. So that denominator will have to be 1,000. And I know 4 and 1,000, they're multiples of 4, so let's divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. 4 goes into itself 1 time. 4 goes into 1,000 250 times. So 0.004 in simplest form as a fraction, 1 over 250. Part D, 2.24. Let's take the 2, and the 4, that goes in the numerator. The place value where this 4 is in the thousands place. I mean, not the thousands, the hundreds place. So the denominator has to be 100. So it'd be 224 over 100. Let's see, they're both multiples of 4. Let's divide the numerator and the denominator by 4. 224 divided by 4 would be 56. 100 divided by 4 would be 25. And we're going to leave that as an improper fraction. So 2.24 as a simplified fraction would be 56 over 25. And now part E, 5.5. Let's put the 5 and the 5 in the numerator. The second 5 is 1 digit after the decimal point. That's the tenths place. So it'll be 55 over 10, but if we reduce that by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 5, 5 goes into 55 11 times, 5 goes into 10 2 times. So we'll leave that as 11 halves. Part F is 4.457. Let's take the 4, the 5, and the 7. This 7 is the third digit after the decimal point. The place value for that is 1,000. And I don't think we're going to be able to reduce that big number in simplest form. So we'll just leave it as 4,457 over 1,000. Okay, part G, 0.0009. The only digit we see is a 9, so the 9 goes in the numerator. Notice the 9 is the fourth digit after the decimal point. So we got tenths, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. So 10,000 will be in the denominator. And that's as far as we're going to be able to reduce that. So 0.0009 would be 9 over 10,000. In part H, 0.038. Well, the 3 and the 8 will go in the numerator. The 8 is the third digit after the decimal point. That's tenths, hundreds, thousands. So 1,000 goes in the denominator. Let's see if we can reduce 38 over 1,000 by dividing the numerator and the denominator by 2. 2 goes into 38 19 times, and 2 goes into 1,000 500 times. So in simplest form, it'll be 19 over 500. So that's pretty much how we convert a decimal into a common fraction. All right, on the next page, we're going to convert to decimal form. Like 1/5. And yes, you can use a calculator for this. It's not that bad. 1 divided by 5. Numerator divided by denominator. 1 divided by 5. And then hit enter. It'll be 0.2. So in this case, 1/5 as a decimal would be 0.2. And then part B is 4/9. Now they want this to 3 decimal places. So if I do 4 divided by 9, notice you're going to get a string of repeating 4s. But to 3 decimal places, that fourth digit is a 4. It's less than 5, so the 4 remains the same. So it'll be 0.444. And by the way, that would represent a repeating decimal. It has 0.4 with the bar on just the 4, showing that the 4 repeats. All right, now part 4, A through H, converting each fraction to decimals. Part A will be 1/10. So if I do 1 divided by 10 in the calculator, it would just be 0.1. All right, part B will be 4/9. I think I just did that one back in part number 3, part B. That's 0.444. And by the way, if they were to ask for this to the nearest 1,000 or to 3 decimal places, that 0.1 will be 0.1 with 2 zeros behind it, because you had to carry it out to 3 decimal places as your final answer. My math lab is very picky on the type of answers that they want. If they want it to 3 decimal places, that means you must give your answers to 3 decimal places. And then these, we're going to give all of our answers to 3 decimal places. So in part C, 5/11 would be this, 5 divided by 11. That would give us 0.455. The third digit is a 4. To the right of it is a 5. Is at least 5. So that 4 would increase to a 5. So it would be 0.455. All right, part D, 19/7. So 19 divided by 7. To 3 decimal places, this will be 2.714. The third digit is a 4. To the right of it is 2. The 4 remains the same, so it'll be 2.714. Okay. Part E, 22 over 9, or 22 ninths. So 22 divided by 9. Okay. To 3 decimal places, that'll be 2.444. And that's also a repeating decimal. Yeah. And the other one before that, and before that one, were repeating decimals. Let's see, part F, 56 elevenths. 56 divided by 11, 5.091. Because the third digit is a 0, to the right of it is 9, that's bigger than 5, so that 0 increased to a 1, so the 5.091 in decimal form. Part G, 102 over 49 as a decimal. So 102 divided by 49, we're going to have 2.082. Here, the third digit is a 1. To the right of it is 6. That's bigger than 5. So the 1 will be increased to a 2. So it'll be 2.082. And part H, 13 fourths. If I do 13 divided by 4, well, I'm going to get 3.25. But again, it has to be the 3 decimal place, so it'll be 3.250. So 13 fourths would be 3.250. Okay, so that will conclude this brief review, part B for section 2A, dealing with understanding, explain, and solve.